Hi, this is Derek Murphy of Creativity.com, helping you become I can't say my tagline, creatively and financially independent. And we're just answering some questions today about publishing. So one of these questions is, what are the top selling topics for ebooks? What should I write about for commercial financial success? I think this is a pretty great question, actually. Most authors will say this is selling out and that you have to listen to your passion and write from the heart, but most authors are going to fail. And if you're writing a book without considering how many readers are interested in that genre or topic, you're going to make life a lot harder for yourself. Whereas if you think in terms of what's popular, how do I write books that sell? How do I connect with the big popular genres? That's going to make life easier. So it's a good question. I'm not going to discount the question. I'm just going to find it again. And it's actually not very hard to find what sells and what doesn't sell. So in the book that I have answering all these questions, there's Derek Dopker cites the 4 blueprints laid out by Robin Hoffman. And when you're writing a book, the things that are going to work really well, they're either tips or an outline, a step-by-step outline, or a 3-act story, the hero's journey, which is basically all fiction, or an essay. So if you're writing a book like those, and you follow those proven formulas, you've got a better chance as success. Otherwise, if you're writing something else that doesn't fit into those formulas, there's not a proven readership for it, so you're taking a much bigger risk. And in terms of genres and categories, Tom Corson Knowles at TCK Publishing has a blog post called Top 100 Most Competitive Keyword Categories. And so the top best-selling are romance, any kind of romance that sells better than anything else, then literary and fiction, which includes coming of age, women's sagas, historical fiction, warrior, horror, or occult, then mystery, suspense, and thriller, women's sleuths, police procedurals, psychological, private investigators, espionage, hard-boiled legal crime. So you're always going down in terms of the size of readership. So there might be 10 million active, hungry readers for romance books that just buy novel after novel. Maybe they read 20 novels a month. And for every category, you're going down in reach. So you get down to science fiction or fantasy, there's still a lot: epic, fantasy, romance, paranormal romance. It's still very popular. It's just not as popular as those bigger romance categories. And finally, teen and young adult, paranormal, fantasy, action, adventure, paranormal and urban, contemporary romance, dystopian. If you're not writing any of those kinds of books, if you're writing something else, your readership is much smaller. So the chance of you becoming a bestseller is much more difficult. You might become a bestseller in that genre. You could sell 100 books in a very small genre and be a bestseller, but you won't sell a lot of books compared to these other genres. So when you're thinking about, personally, I think if you can write fiction, if that's a skill you have, you can choose any genre and write a really good book in that genre. You just have to conform with reader expectations of that genre and then over-deliver and change. You can make something impactful and meaningful and artistic, still using the basic structure expected of that genre. I don't think you have to. I've heard people say, I could never write paranormal romance because they want to write historical sagas or something. But if you're writing fiction, it's a skill that you can really focus what you want to write on. You can write any kind of book. You might as well spend the time writing a book that's going to sell double copies just because there's double the readership. That's an easy decision to make. For nonfiction, health and fitness, dieting, biographies, memoirs, historical Christianity, Christian living, spiritual growth, self-help, personal transformation, motivation. That's what sells the best. So if you have other things that you're selling, you have a greater and greater, lesser and lesser chance of reward for the risk that you're taking in writing and publishing the book. So if you're spending thousands of dollars publishing a book for a really small genre and there isn't a big enough readership to support the writing of that book, you'll find out pretty quickly. If you have a few books out there that aren't selling because you never considered the readership and you just wanted to write whatever you want to write, that's fine. You can either learn from your mistakes and write books that sell by targeting these best-selling categories and writing a book that delivers what readers want from that category, or you can keep writing what you like to write and be a hobby author And that's fine if you're happy not making any money with your writing. For me, I would love to be making a few $1,000s a month just on book sales so that I could write full time and not worry about building a business or getting more traffic or selling services or anything else. And that's kind of what the path that I'm on. I'm not there yet because it depends on publishing a lot of books, and I haven't published enough books to make that kind of money. But in a year or two, I will be there. So you have to kind of consider writing in a popular genre. I don't think, if you've read The War of Art, there's this idea in a lot of creativity books teaching you how to be creative, how to be more productive, how to write more books. They'll usually tell you you have to listen to your muse, your heart, the universe, God. You have to write what you feel inspired to write. Otherwise, it's totally meaningless. And I don't believe that at all. And I also think it sets you up for failure. You need the confidence to write, and it's difficult when you're starting to believe that this book matters. So if you believe in that kind of philosophy, it's easier for you to accept that writing this book matters and you have the confidence to finish the book. So it's very important and useful to have that kind of creative philosophy that depends on, the universe has chosen me, I'm special, the world is waiting for me to finish that book. That's a good ideology to finish the work. But you'll finish a book that has no chance of success, or at least the rates of success is completely cut off from the realities of the reader expectation, the readership, and the demand for that kind of book. So you can write a book that way and finish the book and be very inspired and creative about it, and then you'll try to market it and build a platform and sell it and spend years and thousands of dollars failing and failing because you didn't write a book in a popular genre that people wanted to read. And that's the huge danger in that kind of creative ideology. Me, I think if you're a creative and smart person, you can create anything. And I don't believe the universe demands that you write a certain kind of book. I think you feel inspired to write what you like to read. So you may think this is a really good idea. You may really enjoy writing it. That's fine if it's your hobby. If it's your business, if you want to write to make money, you're using your writing skills to make a product that other people want. And that's where the money comes from. If you want to write your passion, your hobby, and expect other people to support you with financial donations, that's a narcissistic and ultimately selfish belief. So you kind of have to step back and accept the fact that, are you willing to write for money? Are you willing to make a business that sells books? Or do you just want to fulfill your divinely inspired, muse-driven role as a creator? And if that's the case, you have to be willing to be the starving artist, because it's nobody else's responsibility to support you in your quest to create the kind of books that you want to write. Nobody owes you that favor. You need to convince them to buy it, but that's going to take a lot of marketing prowess. If they are not interested in your book anyway, you need a brilliant cover, great reviews, amazing sales copy, because you're convincing people who don't want to read your book that they should read your book. That's a lot of hard work. It's much easier to write the kind of books that those readers want to read and package it as that type of a book so that the sale is obvious, so that those readers find your book where it should be, where they expect those kind of books to be, and the cover tells them right away that it's the right kind of book that they like, and it's a no-brainer to buy the book. It doesn't have to, you don't need marketing to sell a book with a huge readership that looks like the kind of book that they're actively seeking out. That's an easy sale. So I think when you're thinking about writing a book and publishing a book, not only is it a better choice to think about what sells, I think it's the only choice. I think there's definitely a difference of lifestyle philosophy, and you may not be able to adjust your belief system with the kind of thinking about publishing that's going to make you a successful author. But if you're writing these kind of questions, I get questions because I know how to sell and market books. People want my help to market their books, but they're writing the wrong kind of book. So the very first step is to stop writing the books that nobody wants to read and start writing books in popular genres that have a huge readership and aren't going to take as much marketing. That's an easy decision to make if you've accepted the fact that you want to be a career author. If you still believe that art is this creative process and you are selling out or you're a hack if you consider readership, that's a stumbling block that you need to get over if you want to be a successful author. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure, and nobody can really help you because you're writing the wrong kind of books. Okay, I'm going to stop this video there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.